We've been reporting on the high cost of meat, something you see every time you go to the market. But tonight, there are accusations from President Biden that 4 big meat companies are unfairly driving that price surge. Jacob Ward investigates those claims.
The price of beef is up 20% from this time last year. Ground sirloin is more than $5 a pound. Why? Well, from the cost of packaging to the cost of growing feed, every part of the supply chain is more expensive. But President Biden also blames industry consolidation.
We end up with an industry like the meat processing industry, where 4 big companies dominate the markets.
Those big 4? Tyson, Cargill, JBS, and National Beef, who together control roughly 85% of all beef production in America and saw their profits triple during the pandemic.
Why isn't the market correcting itself in this case?
So when there's no competition in a market, you're not going to get some of those dynamics that allow prices to ease.
And consumers have little choice in the matter.
When we walk into the grocery store, you see dozens of different brand names for meat. But the reality is about 4 companies own all of those different brands. And that doesn't give the consumer the ability to vote with their dollar.
Of course, the pandemic raised prices in many industries.
But in the meat industry, those effects were exacerbated by the lack of competition up and down the supply chain. The takeaway message should be clear. A concentrated food supply chain is a vulnerable food supply chain.
Executives say the industry, hit hard by COVID and inflation, couldn't keep up with Americans consuming more meat during the pandemic.
The present divide between live cattle and boxed beef prices is not the result of a consolidated industry, lack of competition, or the cash markets. The concentration of ownership within the meat processing industry is virtually unchanged over the past 30 years.
And meat processors argue their size keeps meat affordable.
When you have large players who can operate at scale, it means we can help keep prices lower for consumers.
Industry consolidation alone is concerning enough, but there is ample evidence that these companies have engaged in illegal practices to hike prices.
In October, JBS agreed to pay over $110 million to settle price-fixing allegations, and Tyson, which agreed to a $221 million price-fixing settlement, faces lawsuits from several major food sellers. But the Big 4 maintain there is no collusion. Meanwhile, cattle ranchers like Scott Stone are getting only 39 cents for every dollar shoppers spend on beef, compared to 60 cents 50 years ago.
Both the livestock producer and the consumer in the store are getting what we call the short end of the stick.
Now, the White House says it will put $1 billion toward building regional slaughterhouses, work with Congress to make the meat industry more competitive, and get all of us a fairer price.
Capitalism without competition isn't capitalism, it's exploitation.